Alright everybody, I honestly don't know what the hell this channel's turned into, but I'm making a video now about Lord of the Rings because screw it, I'm just gonna do it anyway. So, let's get into this for you people that are new to my channel, which there may very well be, who don't feel like listening to me babble on and feel like getting a good impression. So, I'm going to start off by explaining something before you can understand the gravity of the real message of this, okay? That's very cryptic what I just said. Basically, I need to explain a little bit of background before you can completely understand the reason behind what I'm going to say afterwards, which the title may very well give away. Now, for you people that already know a great deal or enough about Lord of the Rings to know all of this, I may or may not put an annotation in depending on whether or not I feel the importance of it. So, I'm going to start off here, and this is what you need to know to understand what I'm saying. Alright? I'm going to give you the beginning. In the beginning of Lord of the Rings, not the Lord of the Rings, the movies, but it was in the beginning of the Middle-earth time line, the whole thing. Not going to go into a whole bunch of detail. There was this thing. There was God. It was Iluvatar was his name. Man, I'm going about this very, very terribly. Alright, his name was Iluvatar, alright? And then there was all of these angel, basically, things, or gods, demigods. They're called the Valar, alright? And there's quite a few Valar. I don't really know them. I know some of them. There's Mandos or whatever. There's Aule, Olmo, some other ones too. But the main one you need to know about is Melkor, because he comes into play the most, pretty much. I mean, you might not have heard about him. No, they mentioned him. Legolas did mention him in the movies. This is just if you watch the movies, though. They don't mention any of the Valar, really. I mean, they do, maybe, slightly, but they don't really talk about it. So for the average watcher, you really don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, to get on with this, in the very beginning, there was this song that they all wrote that created the world. It was called the Ainulindalë. That was what it was. If my pronunciations are correct in this, incorrect in this video, please tell me so, because I don't feel like sounding like an idiot. Alright, they created this song called the Ainulindalë. Alright, so there was quite a few Malar that joined in on this, but Melkor, being the most powerful, overall, he was not the strongest, but he was the smartest and the strongest out of what was there. He was the most powerful. I'll just put it like that, because it doesn't go into great detail of exactly what he was good at, but he was the most powerful and like most free-willed of all of the Valar. Alright? Then he was trying to sow discord into the song. I'm pretty sure that's pretty much exactly how he worded it. He tried to sow discord into the Ainulindalë. So all the evil in the world, or all the unsymmetrical things, or just wrong things, corruption. It created corruption. It doesn't create evil. That's the ability for things to be corrupt, basically. However, this is where I'm going to start explaining where I feel like this is a little bit wrong. Alright? Tolkien plays this off, and I think he completely disagrees with what I'm saying, but I have my own opinion on this. He completely paints free will as this evil thing. Now, it's not that apparent in the movies, and it's because the way they illustrate it. They illustrate the free will of people, not just men, but all races, but mainly people are the ones that went evil. Obviously, there's the orcs too, and Uruks, but they're a sub-race of orcs, pretty much. I'm not going to go into great detail about that. But, so there's that. Alright, so I don't like the way it paints these. It's just basically free will. Now, you might not understand what I'm saying by that, and I'm making hand gestures like you can see it. I'm getting really into this. Okay. A good way to describe this is, and the greatest example I can think of, is Numenor. If you don't know, basically what it was is something happened. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but basically these people that were really loyal to the Valar, who had their own island, west of Middle-earth, quite a bit west. Yeah, they got their own island, and they got to live there, and they were the Numenorians. The island wasn't Numenor, it was the Isle of something. I can't remember right now. But they lived there and everything, and for I think something like 2,000 years, they lived there. But at the end of those 2,000 years, things went wrong. Alright, so basically what it was they were really loyal to the Valar, and they were, like, better than humans, but they were still humans. They lived for about the same amount of time as dwarves did, I'm pretty sure. But they were, like, basically just as good of fighters as elves, and more numerous, because they bred faster than elves did. They were just as industrious as people, but they lived as long as dwarves. And dwarves are very industrious as well, but there's not as many of them. So anyway, getting on with that. After that, man, I'm getting out of breath. Sauron had a grudge with them because they came over and kicked his ass, basically. So he goes over there as a prisoner, and in 2 years, something like that, he rises to the rank of like a court official or something like that, and has a great deal of power over the Númenóreans. So this is where things start to get a little bit weird. Yes, it was Sauron's fault that the Númenóreans ended up turning basically evil and going over to Númenor, and ended up getting sunk by God himself. He made a rift in the ocean, and it sucked all of the Númenóreans on their boats in. Sauron stayed on the island, but eventually, well, not eventually, but at the same time, Ilúvatar sank the island too. So Númenor is gone. They were pretty much all dead, and the ones that weren't dead, they were the loyal ones. They lived in Romenos, and they ended up going back to Middle-earth. So it was Sauron's fault that they defected from the path of the Valar and being loyal to him and everything. However, I hate how he paints and by the way, he does this in an extraordinary amount of time. You gotta hand it to Sauron. He gets shit done. But anyway, I hate the way that Tolkien paints the picture of this free will. Basically, what it was the Númenóreans were going after immortality, which, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily want immortality, but also they said that you can never go any farther west than the site of Númenor, which is kinda... I don't like being told what to do, and most people don't, I would say, unless you're, I don't know, you're just a follower, sheeple. Anyway, not gonna get into that, but you don't like being told what to do, and they didn't really have a whole lot of free will. Like, when you think about this, you're not allowed to do very much. I mean, you can only stay on Middle-earth, and if you ever try to go over to Aman or Valinor, it's the same thing, pretty much. If you try to ever go over to Valinor or Aman, you will be sank into the ocean, assuming the same thing happened to Númenor. So it's assumed that will happen to you too. So you're really not allowed free will. They basically decide everything that goes on in the world. They don't really interfere a whole bunch, but like they have control over everything. They created the Aule created the dwarves, and Melkor ended up creating the orcs, which are just a subrace of elves, pretty much. Yeah, the orcs are a subrace of elves, and the Uruks are a subrace of orcs. It's weird. Anyway, so it's not that apparent with Melkor, because he's just an asshole just for the sake of being an asshole. He was not held back by any of the Valar. But when you think about the standpoint of a human, there are the Maiar, which are one step below the Valar, but there's different levels of power for them. Like Sauron is a higher amount of power than Gandalf is, but they were both Maiar. Anyway, so there was the Maiar, and then there was the Valar, alright? And then they were both above the elves and the dwarves and the men. Alright, then the elves were above the men and the dwarves. Alright, so the elves and then the men and the dwarves were pretty much like last on the list, other than orcs, but everybody hates the orcs. They were pretty much last. Sorry, my headphones just tried to shut off. They were pretty much last on the list of the hierarchy thing. So could you imagine being a human and being told you are forever bound to be less than all of these people? this leads me to my final point, which is really just a statement. It's not a point because I've been making it this whole time. If I were to be given a side, or given the choice between the sides of the Middle-earth and Tolkien's world, Middle-earth and... You know what I'm trying to say. If I were given a role in Middle-earth, if I was given the choice, I would choose the side of darkness. But I think that they kind of go about it the wrong way. And kind of... I don't know, it's like when people that listen to death metal take it too far, and it becomes more than just music. That's exactly what it is with them too. Alright? So, yeah, they take it too far, but I do agree with the premise behind what they're trying to do. And that's where I stand on that. So if you disagree with me or you agree with me, I'd like to hear some feedback in the comments, because I have not heard this point made by anybody else, but I do think it's a good point. Now you could argue that really they're not good anymore, and no, I'm not saying that Sauron should enslave people and all that crap, because it's not cool. By the way, Sauron is one step lower than Melkor was. He was not nearly as powerful as him, but he was just kind of his like lieutenant. Anyway, yeah, he kind of goes about it the wrong way and trying to enslave everybody and kill all these people and everything and all that, but the premise behind what he believes is, I am defying God because I don't want him to have power over me. And that's not really wrong. That's just you having free will. You blindly obeying the Valar or the Maiar, which aren't really obeyed, they're just kind of, yeah. But you obeying blindly Eru Ilúvatar and the Valar kind of just proves you're a sheep. You don't really think for yourself. So I think that Sauron and Melkor, however painted evilly in the books and the movies, and very disagreeable in their methods of completing their goal, are kind of right. So that'll have to do it for this episode, guys. I know, this channel's getting weird. I'm just trying everything now. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you would like to see more about Lord of the Rings, first, give me time to actually know what I'm talking about, and then maybe I can teach you guys something. I'm just kidding now. I can teach you guys stuff. I'm not very confident in it because I know I don't know all this stuff by heart, so I don't feel good giving you guys misinformation. So that'll have to do it for this episode, guys. So I hope you enjoyed. See you guys next time.